To do a little repetition on what Father Kevin spoke about yesterday, when Ignatius was confronted with almost certain shipwreck and death because of that by drowning, and he begins to examine his life and finds that he's not afraid because of his sins, but rather he's confused and sad because there were so many graces that had been given to him, and he had made little use of the time that God had given to him, because this was at the beginning of his conversion, well before he was, engaged in so many wonderful projects and the founding of the Jesuits. What's really fascinating to me are two things about this. The first is this comes a scant few months after the terrible experiences of scruples that we talked about a couple of sessions ago. In other words, the scruples had Ignatius desperately fearful of not being forgiven by God and therefore being condemned to hell, and nothing that he could do. Everything he had to do everything he could to somehow get the forgiveness of God, because gaining eternal life was absolutely paramount. Well, he came out of the scruples, through kind of carefully, challenging where they were coming from, and I think profoundly discovering that God really loved him. And so now, when he's faced with death, when eternal life is opening before him with a certainty that he feels in his bones, that fear is not there anymore. The love of God has conquered that fear. What a wonderful gift for him. What a challenge for us. Do we so love God and experience God's love so powerfully that our fear of death recedes more and more each day we are alive? The second thing that fascinates me about this is that shame and confusion, or that confusion he feels because he hasn't used those gifts of God. He spent much of the life prior to this experience in living a life of vanity, a life far from the Lord. And now that he's faced with his death, he's faced with all these years when God wasn't important to him. He's not afraid of death, but he rather would have given that life more fully to God. And he feels like he's going to God with little to offer the Lord. Hopefully in our lives, we're aware of what God has given to us, and we want to, as best we can, return to God some of those beautiful graces and blessings he's given us by sharing them with other people, by serving God, by being all we can be for God. What a wonderful way to face our death, knowing that we come with empty hands because we've given everything we can to the Lord. St. Ignatius wanted that as he was facing certain death, probably achieved it as he died, 20 or 30 years after this episode. May we have that same experience when we turn to God. I have given everything, or as we say, or as people say in football, we've left nothing on the field. Everything has been played out for the Lord. And that's the wisdom of the autobiography of St. Ignatius today. And I hope you heard me over the airplane that decided to fly over in a most inopportune moment. Have a very, very good rest of your day.